Chapter 75. So this is the one that just came out, folks. Here we go. The Domain of Gods. Alright, interesting name for a chapter. Let's see what happens. Ida enchants all regardless of gender. Okay, we know that. Only blood relatives in Otsutsuki aren't affected, meaning it doesn't work on Boruto, Kawaki, and her little brother Damon. Plus, her left eye's Senrigan allows her to peek in on all things happening across this world. She can also hear conversations as if she were actually there. So damn near omnipotence is what I'm getting. Omnipresence, I should say. Damn near, at least on a global scale, she damn near has omnipresence. She can hear and see all things without being present. Okay. It also lets her browse past events so she could see back in time, though she can't see anything that took place prior to her birth. So for now, she can only go back 16 years. Okay. Okay, so they're basically breaking down the power scaling, arsenals, and abilities of the cyborgs. Okay, so this is interesting to me. Alright, so this implies some small-scale omnipresence, I guess you could say, with Ida. So now Damon. As for her brother Damon, he reflects all attacks, any action that could inflict harm on him, and though it's necessary for his hand to be touching another person, his ability will also transfer to the person currently touching him. Interesting. Interesting. That's everything in a nutshell. What a crazy list of abilities. It makes my head hurt. Yeah, it's very, very problematic. Damien is an irritating, pesky brat, but just be careful not to aim murderous intent toward him no matter what, because that too will be reflected. It depends on certain conditions, but it will all rebound back to you. I see what he means. So your intentions themselves can be reflected. So he either means that hyper literally, or it means that more as a warning, so to speak, right? This could be interpreted one of two ways. It can be literal, where he can sense your intention and literally reflect your intention, or he could mean that because of Damien's ability, that's just a natural tendency that he has to reflect your intention as well. So this can be interpreted hyper literally, or it can be interpreted in more of a subtle way. All right, what? Now you've lost me. Nah, no thanks. All right, so it's showing, I think, Damien punching Kawaki. What? Looks like it's legit Boruto, as you just saw. Imagine clobbering him. I see. So, I guess it is hyper literal. Kawaki was imagining clobbering Damien, and Damien made that happen to him. So, I guess he did reflect his intention. Wow, that's interesting. Ooh, something wrong with your head? That ain't normal. I've been wondering, Amato, how the heck did you develop so many unbelievable abilities? Develop wouldn't be accurate. I am a mere human, not a god. The crafting of abilities is a feat permitted only to gods. What I do is simply transplant things that already existed. Okay. Transplant, explain that. Yeah, their abilities were brought about by a god. Interesting. Someone who actually evolved into a godlike being, Otsutsuki Shibai. Otsutsuki Shibai. Okay, so this is in Revelation here. Very interesting one. Continue on. Otsutsuki. Who is this? Otsutsuki Shibai. Where are they? Don't worry, he's no longer with us. All that exists are his remains. His remains. Do you remember what I told you about how the chakra fruit that forms from absorbing all life on the planet is a mass of colossal energy and genetic information, and that Otsutsuki are a species that evolves through devouring those fruits? By repeatedly undergoing karmic resurrection, Shibai cheated death, devoured many fruit over several millennia, and eventually the cumulative evolution led to godhood. So, folks, this seems to kind of confirm the theory I've seen throughout the Naruto fandom, the idea of an Otsutsuki god, right? So, this seems to confirm that theory that many had, and there's definitely implications of it. So, basically, at least from my observations currently, all the abilities that we've seen these cyborgs possess, such as Ida, Code, and Damon, originated from the Otsutsuki god Shibai, right? And I would predict that he is the true top Otsutsuki in the clan, right? He is the only one that I've seen described as a god, literally. So that is very telling. And despite him being gone, the ability of these cyborgs illuminate what he was capable of during his time, most likely, right? So this is extremely telling, and it's something that I hope is further explored, and I hope the lore is further built up for the audience. This is a direction, in my opinion, towards the positive, right? As far as a polarizing storyline here. They could do something with this if they approach it the right way. The idea of this Otsutsuki god, right? So, I am enjoying this. This is probably the chapter I've enjoyed the most already in quite some time, Boruto. Alright. Godhood, huh? Setting aside possible godhood, let's go back to the original topic. You're saying these various cheat-like powers of Ida and Damon are originally abilities that the Shibai fellow possessed. That's right. Transplanted DNA harvested from Shibai's remains results in the endowing of one or more of his abilities. Either Katatsuke. Is what he's saying technologically possible? Yes, I have been just listening. It's just transplanting a person's ability to someone else. Even using scientific ninja tools would be difficult with current human technology. However, having now witnessed numerous tech beyond human intellect, like at the airship's crash site and in young Kawaki's body, I cannot say with any surety that it is impossible. Okay? That's low, Shikamaru. You think I'd make things up at this point? Don't pay my cautious nature in your mind. To be blunt, I just can't get myself to trust you. Fair enough. Now, go on, Amato. Shibai's various abilities were quite incredible, it said. Without needing to weave signs as with ninjutsu, he generated storms with a wave of his hand, okay? And called forth thunderbolts with just any angry roar. Alright, very godlike indeed. Given the name Shinjutsu, such godlike abilities were neither ninjutsu nor sage arts. They were phenomena equivalent to divine miracles. Alright, so this establishes a sort of hierarchical structure when it comes to jutsu, with Shinjutsu being at the top, clearly. Right, above ninjutsu and even sage arts. That is quite impressive indeed. This allows us to extrapolate some interesting claims that can be made here. So, let's continue on. Shinjutsu. In addition to Ida and Damon's abilities, Code's claw marks are also Shinjutsu, as are the Sukuno Hikona and Daoko Ten that Kawaki inherited from Ishiki. In the immortality art that enables resurrection, karma. In fact, ninjutsu itself fundamentally attempts to reproduce phenomena similar to Shinjutsu through weaving, signs, and concentrating one's chakra. With all due respect, are you saying our ninjutsu are nothing more than a pale imitation of these Shinjutsu? Let's continue on. Alright, did I skip a page? No, I didn't. Okay, just making sure. Sarada, did I offend you? I am simply stating fact. Putting aside necessity of that, I think I do know pretty well that the Otsutsuki technological capabilities far exceed our own. Apparently. And I've got a question. With karmic resurrection, he ought to live forever. So why is he a corpse? Or did someone kill Shibai? I don't know what really happened. It's certainly possible that he was killed, but what if, after many cycles of evolution, he ascended to a higher dimension where a physical body isn't required? Alright, so with that very statement alone, I'm already implying the possibility of the writers delving into above 3D or 4D entities here. That's what a model's implying. So we're starting to enter realms of beyond the dimensions that we are familiar with, right? Beyond 4D. Let's continue on. If nobody is needed, neither are resurrection or vessels. It's a hypothesis that Shibai deliberately discarded his body. I see. On the one hand, it sounds crazy talk, but if a god is meant to be a flawless being, then that theory does have some merit. Alright, hey, what are you talking about? Apologies, I got sidetracked. What am I trying to say? Is that Otsutsuki powers contain hope to make what is impossible to us possible, such as bringing my daughter back to life. Oh, okay. Very telling. Very telling. Bringing his daughter back to life. Oh. Delta, you shouldn't be here. I know, but I really wanted to see Ida. Don't tell Shikamaru, okay? No way. Besides, the sensor unit will detect you right away. At least I didn't show up over there. Just let me look at her. No, You're particularly suggestible. Come on, I'm not gonna get in trouble. Please, just a few minutes. I'll stay right here, please. Okay, more simping. Let's continue on. Delta, time to go to sleep. Her emergency shutdown code. I'm so sorry. She just flew off. I haven't run like this in ages. Poor class rep. She's not supposed to be able to disobey either Dr. Otsutsuki or me. Her program needs to be checked. That's how strong Ida's charm is. I need to be careful too. Okay. I guess her ability is a lot more fearsome than I thought. Okay. This is a very good chapter so far, just because of the revelations. Bring your dead daughter back to life. You did mention before that your daughter died 12 years ago. 12 years ago. That's around when I was born. My daughter, Akabe, suffered from a terrible disease. It was an unknown cause. No drug or cure was effective. It was a fatal illness that doctors had given up on. But I didn't rail against them because I'd already discovered a way to resolve the situation. Okay. Continuing on. I'd make her a new body via cloning. Okay. So this is finally some light shined upon Amato's history. It's about time that we learned of his motives. Up until this point, he was very cunning and deceptive and mysterious. So I'm liking this little arc that we are currently embarking on. Let's continue on. I didn't care about the ethics anymore. It seemed logical to give her a totally new shell rather than fix up a defective product. After all, this was a field that I had long tinkered in. The bar was significantly easier to clear than developing new meds. Akabe died a short time later, yet I wasn't sad, at least not at that point. I plugged away in a race against time. I preserved Akabe's brain and succeeded in extracting, digitizing, and creating a backup of her memories. Interesting. About 9 months after my daughter's death, she was abruptly completed. She had Akabe's voice, her exact appearance, plus her memories. Interesting. But she was a total stranger. So this is Delta here. This was Delta. That's what it's displaying on the panel. Okay. She definitely retained Akabe's memories in full, yet she wasn't Akabe. It wasn't just her personality, her humanity. It's difficult to explain, but it seems a human's consciousness is more than just the aggregation of memories. I keep remaking her, but each time she was someone other than Akabe. Even if I could create a new person, it just was not possible to reproduce the one who'd existed before. I realized that this was the domain of gods, a world that humans were not meant to step into. Right, so this illuminates the idea of playing God, right? And how humans are limited, the idea of epistemic humility, and the idea of our limitations, right? Only having a human mind that can only push itself so far and understand so much. A soul, right, at least in the real world especially, is something that is still theorized on. There is no definitive answer to what a soul is. Right, we can understand the surface level basics of humanity, right? The human brain, the muscles, the circulatory system, digestive system. But there's this aura beyond that that not even the greatest of minds understand in the real world, and that's a soul. The idea of a consciousness, the idea of personality, the idea of morality. These are ideas that are hard to grasp and hard to explain, right? That's why there is no definitive answer to something like a soul, right? So I'm glad, I kind of am glad that they're exploring this with the cyborgs, right? And he's illuminating the fact that a soul can't be replicated no matter how bright your mind is, and that the soul really seems to be only understood in the domain of gods, that is beyond the domain of our own possibilities, right? So I like that idea. I like the ideology here. Let's continue on. And it finally hit me that my daughter no longer existed. That's when he appeared. He said he'd reunite me with her if I assisted him. Jigen, of course. That's what he means. And that was Jigen, as in Otsutsuki Ishiki, huh? When his objectives were achieved, he'd reward me by reviving my daughter. That was the deal. I aligned with Kara as a last hope, not knowing that this goal, the chakra fruit, would come at the cost of this planet's life. Fulfill Kara's mission and get your daughter back, but the planet would die. What an untenable decision. So you gave your daughter up and decided to take Ishiki down. I was prepared to do anything for her, but what's the point if there's no planet to live on? Good point, good point. Don't get me wrong, though, I haven't given up on my daughter at all. Jiggy never specified how he was planning to revive my daughter. Even if it's possible, he may not have ever intended to do so. But as I worked towards taking him down, I discerned the mechanism of karmic resurrection. It's what Ishiki was trying to do through vessels. And my attempt to reproduce Akabai using a clone was almost identical. Okay? Very telling. My failed efforts at reproducing personality, which crossed into the domain of gods, was possible only with the miracle of godly power, the Shinjutsu karma. Now I get it. What Mr. Amado was planning to use Kawaki's karma for. I added Ikabe's data to Kawaki's reconstructed karma. All Kawaki has to do is implant karma into a new clone body that I'll prepare. That should be enough to revive Ikabe. Okay. You know, I totally thought Mr. Amado was planning something a lot worse. Ida. Yeah, Shikadir. I can't trust Amado's tale, including whether he even really had a daughter or not. I want proof. Can you check with your Senrigan? How dare you? Shikamaru, don't you think that's a bit much? I'm just making sure. Don't take offense, Amado. This is my job. You've quite the awful personality, Shikadir, but I kind of like it. Okay, good to hear. Now if you would. Well, that's harsh, Shikamaru. Hey boy, react if you can hear me. I was wondering why your petty thoughts were suddenly available to me. This confirms it. Momoshiki. Okay, Momoshiki is messaging or relaying some sort of message to Boruto subconsciously. Hey, what's going on? And you affect that apparently arose from having supplemented some of your damaged flesh with my data. It seems our thoughts are crossing over. This isn't mind transfer jutsu, Momoshiki's thoughts. Are you echoing inside my head? God, it is grating, but never mind. Just don't let Kawaki catch on. I'd rather not tangle with him again. What about what Amado just said? There's something off about it. You distrust him too, just like Shikamaru? Then again, that whole part about gods and Shibai, it was sounding real shady to me. Sorry, but the Shibai part is true. He was an Otsutsuki who, as Amado correctly guessed, is no longer in this dimension. What, for real? The same with Shinjutsu. I too have observed the planet a long time and have an intimate understanding of the extent of Shinjutsu. Then you're saying he's lying about his daughter. Who knows? I have no knowledge of that. It is Ida's ability that is bothering me. I see. Okay. Let's continue on. Very interesting stuff. Amado asserted that Ida's abilities are Shinjutsu, and her Senrigan is certainly so. However, that love charm power cannot be. So what of it? As I said just now, I know all Shinjutsu, but I have never heard of such an ability. In short, it is possible that Amado is lying. Interesting. What are you saying? That is a type of scientific ninja tool or something? Plus, why would he need to lie about that? Indeed. That is what raises the question. It was only a quick peek, but Amado's daughter Sanzu Akabai did exist. She died when she was 24. At the very least, those events he told us about were all true. Happy now? Thank you, Ida. I appreciate your help. Hey now, that's it. Your question. My honesty, and I have nothing else to say. Alright, so I see the doubt in Momoshiki's eyes. It's a reasonable doubt to have. Alright. I'm just doing my job. The reason for my distrust lies with you. Don't pretend you're innocent while criticizing others. What about our situation? How long will we be linked? It's not as if I want to be doing this either. Our thoughts are leaking to each other against our wills. That's easy for you to say. You better not be trying to trick me. Babble away. I for one hope it will be brief. You know. You find him? He couldn't have gotten far yet. Don't let him escape. Who? Oh, shit. Alright, so it seems like Momoshiki took over Boruto, from what I can tell. This just ain't what a friend does, you hear? Interesting. Mitsuki, found him over here. Have you managed to truly anger me? You have managed to truly anger me, excuse me. What was that? Huh. Interesting series of events. Okay. that is the conclusion of chapter 75. A very telling chapter, I'd say. I was caught up in the whole idea of the lore and the idea behind this god and etc. The idea of Amato's intentions and his motives have been finally, at least on the surface, seemingly so, illuminated to us. Could it be a lie? Possibly. Could all be an elaborate plot. If you want to be pedantic and consider the possibility that Amato and Ida are secretly working together, and he made sure to train her to only tell them what they want to hear. That's a possibility. Now that Momoshiki, he kind of he presented his doubts to Boruto, and they don't seem unreasonable to have, right? They don't seem unreasonable at all. They seem very reasonable. It's a very telling chapter. There is some possibilities with the events that have taken place, or with the information that has been revealed to us. These revelations allow for the writers to go in an interesting trajectory, a really interesting trajectory. The idea of this god, the idea of Amato playing everybody, and maybe even working with Ida and Damon and just lying about it to get what he wants, right? On the surface, what was said is that he wants to revive his daughter. That's what's important to him. And that is the motive that he is claiming to have, right? To explain why he worked with Jigen or Ishiki, and why he has these cyborgs all built up, and why Delta's around. It's very interesting. Now, I hope they explore why these other cyborgs were created, like Ida, Damon, and Code, right? Maybe it was for Jigen's intentions. Maybe he made them for Jigen or Ishiki to help with his motives, right, of attaining the chakra fruits or whatever the case may be. So maybe that was a possibility, perhaps. There's a lot of possibilities now. That's what this chapter established. The realm of possibility, right? That's what was established here. So I'm definitely excited what that has to offer, right? What the realm of possibility can offer to us, and what's going to take place, what events are going to transpire as we move forward. So, in conclusion, chapter 74 was an okay little transition chapter. However, chapter 75 was very telling. Very telling. Let's go ahead and look at the comments here. Let's see here. God particles, you mean like the one Sasuke searching in his story to help cure Naruto while everything is connected. And to think right now, Boruto's in the Squid Game, Sasuke stuck in JoJo, and here it feels like more referencing of Samurai 8, a possible absorption of that into Naruto. Interesting. Okay. This is really mirroring Samurai 8 chapter 42. Okay, I'm not familiar with that manga, but interesting. Amato took notes from Dr. Tenma. Okay. Best chapter I've read of this in over 12 months. I agree. It's a very good chapter. Had pretty much given up on it, but this is a good one. Lays some good groundwork for upcoming chapters as well. I agree. That's exactly my thoughts. It lays a landscape, right? And it opens the realm of possibilities here to make something very interesting indeed. Let's see. Ida's going to suspect he just used Otsutsuki abilities, then accuse him casually. He'd react awkwardly, but then be forced to admit it either way because of her powers. Okay, that's if we're presupposing that Ida isn't secretly being controlled or, coerced by Amato because he is the creator of the cyborgs. It wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility, but yeah, that's a possibility as well. That explains the godlike abilities. Yep. Everyone assuming Kawaki is a traitor based on these visions is going the wrong direction. This is clearly Boruto's perspective. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, I'm guessing it is a foreshadowing of Boruto getting his eye sliced, because Mitsuki never really used Sage Mode unless it's to protect Boruto. So it's like Kawaki did something to Boruto. Perhaps. Okay. Alright, let's see if there's anything else, any interesting comments here. Let's see here. There is suspense plots, and the situation is getting tense in the Boruto realm. Yeah, now it is, I agree. Plot is excellent. I don't know about that. There's still more work to be done, but there's a possibility that it could be if they approach it the right way. right? And they follow the correct trajectory, for sure. All right, let's read a couple more here, a couple more comments. What's going on, little Pavo? I'm glad, honestly, Boruto will have an entity to converse with in his mind like Naruto or Kurama. Yeah, there's definitely a parallel, though, right? For sure. There's definitely a parallel there between Boruto and Naruto. They have that similarity, right? They both have this entity within their intrinsic soul or whatever that converses with them and helps guide them in some way. Obviously, the situation is a little different here. It seems that Momoshiki's there because of necessity, right? Well, so was Kurama at the beginning, to be fair. So that is true. Let's see. Alright, so we were revealed the idea of Shinjutsu, right? The epitome of what a jutsu is, apparently, right? And that ninjutsu is simply a poor man's version of it, right? Apparently, Shinjutsu allows you to do amazing things without even weaving signs, which is very telling. Alright, so people are already making theories about how powerful this god is. Shibai is at least low complex multidimensional. He solos. I could see low complex multidimensional, yes. Shibai transcended this dimension. What does this mean? It means that he is beyond, at bare minimum, third dimensional, if their theory about him is correct. If he's not dead, but simply in a higher dimension that is unobservable to a three-dimensional being, you know, so. Interesting. Let's see here. But yeah, folks, this was a very telling chapter, and I agree with these comments. It's the best chapter that I've read in quite some time. Probably since the Ishiki fight when we saw Barry on Naruto, to be quite honest. This was a very good chapter, right? It wasn't as super aesthetically revealing or pleasing, but it was very telling as far as the storyline and where it's going to be headed. That's what the highlight of this chapter was, and that's what we needed. I was getting tired of these transition chapters of, you know, this very irrelevant and unemotionally appealing moments. But this is something that we can cling to emotionally, mentally as well. Logically speaking, we can start jumping to different places because of the realm of possibilities that are now available. It's very telling. So, but yeah, folks, that's my thoughts on the chapter.